Hey LinkedIn, and welcome back to Business Unusual. This is the live show brought to you by the LinkedIn News team, where we're talking as a community about the changing nature of work. I'm Caroline Fairchild, editor-at-large at LinkedIn, coming to you from my home office here in New York City. It is Wednesday, July 22nd, and here's a quick look at the top stories that are trending on LinkedIn right now. Airlines continue to face a brunt of the crisis, with travel coming to a halt for many. United said it lost $1.6 billion as it burned through $40 million a day last quarter. Over 6,000 employees have volunteered to take severance packages and leave amid this time. And as we look ahead to the fall and how the coronavirus will develop, what will we see on our television screens? The answer may be not much. Axios is reporting that many major scripted production providers like Netflix don't foresee production in America to resume until 2021. The future of sports also hangs in the balance, with uncertainty around the NFL and college sports being able to return in the fall. For more stories like these, be sure to check out the news module to the right of your LinkedIn newsfeed, which brings us to the poll that we have for you today. We want to know, if you're entering the office for the first time, to what extent do you trust that these high-touch spaces are properly clean and disinfected? We spoke on Monday about some hesitancy that janitors are feeling right now around having the supplies that they need to clean offices during the coronavirus. Do you A, trust that it's properly clean, B, trust that it's somewhat clean, or C, don't trust it at all? Let us know your vote in the stream right now, and also just let us know your thoughts behind your vote. Why do you feel this way right now? And we'll make sure and share the results of the poll at the end of today's show. And with that, it comes to our main story of today. As the pandemic continues to develop differently in different parts of the country, Florida may be facing a brunt of the crisis right now. The state has recorded 10,000 new cases 5 straight days in a row, with Sunday's tally exceeding 12,000, according to Johns Hopkins University data. Intensive care units are overwhelmed at dozens of South Florida hospitals, and CNN is reporting that ICUs in Miami-Dade County are at 127% capacity right now. Those numbers are higher than were expected. With that, we want to have this devastating health impact is also having an economic impact as well, which gets us to the panel that we have for you today. A recent report out from Florida State University found that small businesses and nonprofits, about 15.2% will not reopen after being shut down due to COVID, and at least $25 billion in interest-free government loans from the Paycheck Protection Program went to Florida small businesses affected by the pandemic. But those loans might still not be enough for thousands of businesses impacted by the latest surge of cases. On today's show, we'll speak with LinkedIn small business editor Jordan Dahl, who's been covering this crisis and how small businesses have been impacted since it started. We'll also speak with a panel of small business owners who are here to tell us what it's like for the ground for them right now amid the coronavirus and reopening. But before we bring on our guests, we want to hear from you. The whole point of this show is to have a conversation as a community about how the coronavirus is impacting you at work. If you're joining us in the stream right now, thank you so much for joining us. Say hello. Also, share with us how you're feeling right now. Are things beginning to reopen in your state? Are you just getting back to work for the first time? Let us know what's going on with you. And if you have questions for any of our guests, make sure and share with those in the stream as well, and we'll get to those on the show. And with that, I want to bring on my colleague, LinkedIn small business editor Jordan Dahl.
Hi,
Jordan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you've been covering this for quite some time. We're seeing a lot of focus in the news right now about what's going on with Florida. I wanted to get your take on how the situation in Florida may be different than, say, what small business owners were experiencing in New York during the brunt of the crisis earlier this year.
I would say that the biggest difference is timing. New York City is always hustling and bustling. You always have tourists, but you still have that shoulder season in March and April before the summer starts. And that is even more pronounced in other states, particularly one like Florida that is so heavily dependent upon tourism. So for Florida businesses, we are now in the peak of summer, in the peak of tourism season, and they are in the midst of this crisis, and they're back to shutting down in some cases, or at least having partial restrictions. And for many of these small businesses, they depend upon their summer revenue to get through the rest of the year. So the hit that's happening now, we're going to see come due much later.
And you mentioned the revenue. I'm sure that finances are top of mind for a lot of small business owners right now. What aid exists for small businesses right now as they're facing this second wave in many cases of the pandemic?
So there is still money that is part of the Paycheck Protection Program. Lawmakers extended the deadline to apply for that until August 8th. There is about $130 billion left. There is also money that was earmarked as part of the CARES Act that was gone to local and state governments, and some of that money is being given in the form of grants to small businesses. So it's worth going to your state government website, your county government website, and seeing if they have those grant programs available to you. Now, these are not going to be huge amounts. In most cases, I'm seeing anywhere from $1,000 to about $2,500. But at the end of the day, that's free money that you don't have to give back. So it's worth applying, even if you're not sure that you're going to get it.
And you recently put out a call out onto LinkedIn to see how Florida small business owners in particular are feeling. Later on in the show, we'll speak to a few of them who are on the ground right now facing this pandemic. What are you hearing on LinkedIn in terms of what specifically is happening in Florida, and how are small business owners feeling?
As with so much of the country, uncertainty is really what is causing the most challenges for them. It's this fact that we shut down for weeks at a time. The Paycheck Protection Program, they had to spend that money within 8 weeks, which was designed to get them through the worst of the crisis. But months later, here we are, and we are still embroiled in this. And so there is still a lot of uncertainty about what the future holds, about how much planning that they can do. Now, for most of us, we're not even thinking about holidays. I'm certainly not thinking about it, but for business owners, now is when they have to start thinking about it, especially retailers, because they start finding their inventory and getting all of that planned out in July for December. But with all of the uncertainty, they're not able to do that planning. They don't know if their shop is, quite frankly, even going to exist at that point. They don't know what's happening with their suppliers or what consumers are going to want. And so many of them are hiring back their workers, and now they're having to lay them off again in light of some of these partial shutdowns. And so a lot of them are just bemoaning the fact that they're not getting a very clear indications as to how long this might be going on for, or what the solution might be for them. And so that is really dragging on a lot of them.
And for those of you who are just joining the stream, this is Business Unusual, a live show where we're talking about the changing nature of work. I'm here with my colleague, Jordan Dahl, speaking specifically about how small businesses in Florida are being impacted by the crisis. I want to say hello to some members in the stream: Sean, Kevin, Pamela, Diana. Thank you for joining us today on the show. Jordan, this uncertainty that small business owners are facing across the country, in Florida certainly, it's bringing up a lot of questions about what small businesses are going to survive this pandemic. What are leaders sharing on LinkedIn right now in terms of best practices for small business owners who may be joining us on the stream right now and are uncertain if they're going to be able to survive this pandemic?
I'm sure they're probably tired of hearing this word. It's the new word of business in this pandemic, but pivoting. All the experts are talking about what can you do to pivot your business to meet the current time. For many, that is going to be going online. So we've seen fitness studios hosting classes online, having virtual events, beer and wine tastings. A lot of the wineries here where I am in San Francisco have been going virtually. We saw everyone from cinematographers and photographers to the travel industry just going solely online to interact with their clients. The other part of this that was perhaps not a big topic in March or April, but has become one the longer this goes on, is taking care of your own mental health. For small business owners, their personal well-being and finances are so intertwined with their business, whether it is their mortgage payment or their credit cards. Their personal finances are really wrapped up in the success or the failure of their business. And that takes a really big toll on you. And so experts now are saying also make sure that you have the space that you need to properly take care of yourself, get access to resources, get help, and try and take care of yourself.
I think that's great advice. And Jordan, before I let you go, I'm going to actually have you vote on our poll of the day right now, which is around how certain are you that offices are clean. If of course you and I are not in our offices right now, but say LinkedIn decided that tomorrow we were going to go back, to what extent would you believe that they were properly cleaned?
You're really putting me on the spot here. I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so I clean off everything again anyway, but I would say I think it's properly cleaned. I'll give people the benefit of the doubt.
All right, well, Jordan's saying A, properly clean, and we want to know what you have to think in the stream as well, so make sure to vote and tell us why you're thinking that. And Jordan, thank you so much for joining us on today's show.
Thank you for having me.
That was Jordan Dahl. She is LinkedIn Small Business Editor. Be sure to follow her for more insights and tips on how the small business community is being impacted by this crisis. I want to thank her for joining us on today's show. And with that, I want to get to our panel of Florida small business owners. Joining us on the show today is Anthony Barber. He is the founder of Troy's Barbecue, which is a chain of food trucks and restaurants in Palm Beach County that's pivoting amid the pandemic. We also have Mike Risco, one of the owners of The Spot, a chain of 15 barbershops across Miami-Dade and Broward County. He'll share how customers are feeling and how he is keeping employees safe. And Derek Turton, he was formerly a manager for Pitbull, who we had on Business Unusual earlier this year, and now is the owner of world-famous House of Mac in Miami. House of Mac had to make the transition to delivery, and Derek will share what has been like in real time. So with that, I want to bring on Mike and Derek to the stream. I'm getting a note from my producer that Troy, the owner of Troy's Barbecue, is happy to pivot to something else for today. So I'm just glad to be here with Mike and Derek. Thank you so much for joining us on today's show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. All right, Mike, I want to start with you. The barber business is one of the most high contact businesses that I can think of right now. Talk to me through a little bit now as reopening is happening across Florida, how you're handling that with your business.
Well, we started, we closed originally in March 17th and then reopened May 18th. So we had 2 months of downtime, but in that time we were doing a lot of research, what other countries were doing as far as like reopening other barbershops. So we started, planning ahead and taking as many precautions as we could, deep cleaning all the shops, ordering extra PPE. But it's a night and day difference from before. Our shops were very heavy, kind of like a hangout, and now it's appointment only. There's no more congregating. Our shops are based like a little bar, so you could hang out in the bar and have drinks while you wait. That's all changed, so we've had to adjust to all the new guidelines, which is appointment only. The barbers and clients all wearing masks at all times. Gloves, cleaning in between customers. So the 30-minute window of a customer now turned into an hour. So we're seeing all sorts of changes that are taking place, and we've had to really pivot hard.
Derek, you've been doing some pivoting as well over there. You had to switch entirely to delivery with your business. Talk us through what that transition was like and what some of the biggest challenges were.
Right now we're takeout and delivery actually. And thank God, since this thing started, we've been blessed. We've been considered an essential business. So we've actually never closed since this whole thing happened. But like some of the things that have been affecting me with going digital, Uber Eats, Postmates, Chow Now, all these different things, it kind of affects the bottom line of my cash flow because, we're used to customers coming in, sitting, dining in, credit card sales, cash sales. Now everything is going through these digital platforms. So like now I have to wait for Uber to pay me. Now I have to wait for Chow Now to pay me. Now I have to wait for these people to pay me. Not only that, all of these different platforms, they charge a percentage. Uber alone takes 30%, which like on certain platforms, I had to adjust my pricing because if like my profit margin is only, let's say 25, 30%. If Uber's taking 30% of that, you know what I mean? It's like, so it's one thing, like I was in the music business for a long time. I used to manage Pitbull for 14 years. And one thing that taught me is critical thinking. And I think that has allowed me to maneuver through these days now, because every day was a different day in the music business. And like now it's like literally every day is a different day. And we're just trying to just figure out where the light at the end of the tunnel is at.
Mm-hmm. And Mike, we're hearing across LinkedIn a lot of small business owners in Florida having some uncertainty around just what the guidelines are that are coming from down top in terms of from county to county, what the restrictions are and what the procedures are. For a business owner like yourself who has locations in different counties, how are you keeping track of all this? And what are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing?
Extremely challenging. We have 15 locations, all in different municipalities. So City of Miami has one rule, City of Doral has another, Broward has a different one. So it's extremely challenging just to like go by it, but we made a decision to keep an eye on the actual city's guidelines since they're the ones actually enforcing it. So each city might have a different guideline than a shop a few miles down the road, but we want to follow that city's guidelines. So that's the position we took, is just to follow the actual city's guidelines. But like I said, at first it was very confusing. We didn't have certain items, so we actually got shut down for a couple hours because we had to go get face shields that Pinecrest required that City of Miami didn't. So it's been challenging, but yeah, we're rolling with the punches.
And you not only have 15 locations right now, but you're reopening new locations or opening new locations right now. What does a grand opening even look like amid the pandemic? And why did you make the decision to continue to go on with these openings during the crisis?
Well, two reasons. I mean, we have a responsibility to the investors who are behind these locations. It's just, we always made a lot of noise with grand openings and had parties and balloons and big gatherings of social media and press. And now it's just kind of like back to the old school mail outs to the houses. People are home, so we make sure that we communicate to them at home. But it's challenging. It's challenging. Like I said, we have 3 locations that are under construction and are opening in the next few months. So it's going to be quite different from our past openings. But like I said, we got to, it's a new normal, like they say. So we're adjusting with the times.
I want to go ahead and bring in some comments from members in the stream who are joining us. Robert says the hardest part is hiring and training new staff. With staff rotations, it's hard to get new people up and going as we hire. Robert, thanks for joining us on the stream. Giannis says, I'm fundraising for a business to prevent to close its doors forever. Giannis, we're thinking of you right now and hope that everything's going well on the fundraising front. Robert H says pivoting is the new buzzword indeed. So thank you. I also see some comments from Andre talking about brick and mortar in Broward County and how there's a lot of closures there as well. So Andre, thanks for joining us from Florida, it sounds like. Derek, let's talk with you. I know that there's lots of curfews that are in place right now across Miami-Dade. When I think of mac and cheese, I think late night. So how's that impacting your business in terms of orders and takeout and all of that?
Well, yeah, it's definitely, because normally like on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we open late nights until 2 a.m. And the curfew keeps fluctuating. Like one day it's 8 o'clock, one day it's 10 o'clock. So it's been challenging, but I think the community is also adapting to it. So, I mean, my sales, like I said, my sales are down a little bit, but it hasn't fluctuated so much to the point where, it's like, wow, because like my concern is like the market is hurting. So it's obviously going to eventually trickle down. Like, like we immediately when people got those checks, the stimulus checks, immediately we saw it. Like people were coming out and they were spending money. And it's the same, it goes the other way when people start running out of money, obviously people, we're luxury, like people are going to stop spending money, eating, dining out and stuff like that. And so like, obviously it's a concern, but we've just been adjusting with the time. I mean, there's nothing else we can do at this point, right? Like I'm steering a ship. I have 50 employees and I'm sharing it. I'm steering the ship through like choppy waters right now. And I'm just trying to just make sure we're making the right decisions and the right moves to get through it all. But the most challenging part, like I said, is just like, we're treading in the middle of the water right now and I don't see any help in sight. Like, we got a PPP loan, but PPP loan was supposed to be for 2 months. All right, we got that, we spent that, but now they're like saying like this is gonna get worse sooner than it gets better. So what am I supposed to do now, like to try to get through this? So it's just challenging overall. But I mean, I guess pivoting is the word of the day. We're pivoting and we're figuring it out.
Well, Derek, I appreciate you bringing up those choppy waters. A big topic that we see on LinkedIn is just the mental health of small business owners right now. How are you personally keeping sane and optimistic? How do you get through some of your more challenging days? What's keeping you motivated?
I actually have a therapist. Like I literally have a therapist. I go to therapy, for personal, for marriage, for everything. But I think therapy is very healthy. For a long time in my life, I was kind of against it because I'm like, I'm going to somebody to talk to them about my problems and they probably got more problems than me, but I found somebody that I'm comfortable with and I bounce a lot of things off of them and they help me look at things in a different perspective and it really keeps me balanced. So I literally have a therapist to help me balance my thoughts and that's effective for me.
Yeah, there's no shame in asking for help from outside people. Mike, what about you? How are you keeping your head on straight during this challenging time and supporting all the employees that you are across your 15 locations?
It's been tough. We've had to make some tough cuts, tough decisions. Luckily, we have a good core. Us in corporate, we're a tight-knit group, so we support each other. And all the team members have been very supportive of each other. It's one of those situations where if we have to make a decision between keeping a piece of gear and keeping an employee, we keep the employee and we figure out how to fix the gear on our own. But you know, it's just like you're saying, like if you have someone to talk to, please reach out to them. I don't think anyone's experienced what we're all going through right now, especially as business owners, and having to keep an employee or let them go. And you know, it's a tough. It's hard on the ownership. It's hard on ownership.
Absolutely. Speaking of business owners, I'm seeing several in the stream have specific questions for Mike and Derek, so I'm going to go ahead and ask some of those right now. Shauna wants to know, has the state and local government been active in helping small business owners in Florida meet the mark when it comes to cleanliness post-COVID? Derek or Mike, I don't know if one of you wants to take that.
Repeat the question one time. I'm sorry.
In terms of just keeping up cleanliness standards, how has the state been supporting you either at a local or state level with making sure that you guys have the proper equipment to operate the business?
I mean, everything that I've been doing has been my own. Like, you know, I purchase masks, I purchase disinfectant. I mean, they basically they put the rules out, and we just have to follow it. But I mean, it hasn't been any like assistance. Like they're not shipping me masks, or they're not shipping me hand sanitizer, or anything like that. I mean, it's been my responsibility, and they've definitely been coming around and enforcing it and making sure that we're practicing social distancing and making sure that we have proper signage and making sure that all my employees have on masks and gloves and stuff like that. So, I mean, I would say they've been enforcing it, but I mean, assistance wise, I mean, I haven't received any assistance from anybody.
Yeah, I mean, the assistance we received was basically the same, the EIDL loans and the PPP loans. Locally, like Derek said, they've been enforcing it strong, but we haven't really been provided what we need, but they're making sure that we have all the supplies that we need. And that's another problem. We invested a lot of money to buy all this PPE, and now they're threatening to shut us down. It's like, wait, we just invested all this money to be safe. We're following all the guidelines. So it's kind of like what do you want us to do? Follow the guidelines, spend all the money to buy the gear, or are you going to enforce it? Or are you going to keep shutting us down? So
right.
It's scary.
And Mike, I have another question in the stream from Asin that might be a good one for you as you're opening new locations. He says, given the current situation with revenue streams declining, were you able to renegotiate your store leases to reflect this new reality?
A lot of them. I have several landlords. I'd say 90% of them have been very, very helpful. Some have forgiven the rent for a couple of months, which is amazing. A lot of them cut it in half, and then a few are, you know, and it's understandable. They have to pay their mortgages as well. So they've kind of been a little bit stricter, but we are definitely going back to the drawing board for a lot of these landlords and renegotiating leases, because when we committed to something, it was a different world. We're living in a new world now. So our revenues are down 50, 60%. So they got to take the hit with us as well. You know, it's only fair. So
yeah, my landlords have been cool as well. But the problem was, like, even like the first 3 months, we were able to defer a lot of things, and then the 3 months are up now. So like, yeah, everybody, you know, everything's back to normal in people's world, but it's in our world.
Problem. Yeah,
it's still down. I still have restrictions. I still have curfews. I still have all these different things that I can't do. But then everybody's looking for their money. Yeah. So it's weird. Definitely uncharted territory.
Yeah, we were ready for phase 2 where we could go up to. We're still at 25% capacity, and they're you know that. How are you supposed to survive on 25% capacity? So it's challenging, I say that.
What have you both been able to do in terms of creative ways to generate revenue right now? I've seen some comments in the stream asking, you know, some things have to give. You guys are operating at less capacity. How have you pivoted the business specifically to kind of make sure that you are reaching some of the revenue targets that you were having before capacity had to be dropped because of the crisis?
Well, I mean, like I said, my revenue streams just shifted. You know, I don't have as much cash and credit card sales. It's more digital online. So I definitely had to, you know, raise my prices online. You know, and I mean, I just think, again, this is just everything for me, everything that I'm doing right now. Like most of the things I'm trying to maintain. I'm trying to maintain the morale of my employees, and you know, like I'm just trying to like just get through this, I think. But we've been doing a lot of stuff. Like we've been helping a lot of the first responders. We've been feeding a lot of people. We've just been trying to just step up, and because I think like times like this, it's just really about just surviving and just getting through it. And sometimes like it's people around us that like, you know, we're part of our community. We love our community. So sometimes it's not even just about money. It's about like, it's about as much as it is about us, it's about supporting the people that's around us. I got people that come into my restaurant with 6 kids and they don't have no money. I'm like, are you hungry? I'm gonna feed you. Like, you know, if you need something, DM me. And so for me, it's just really just getting through this. I think, you know, I think the people that do get through this are gonna come through this strong and better. But right now, like, I mean, I don't think there's like, and it's not one size fit all, because like what works for my company might not work for his company, and what works for his company might not work for my company. So it's just about just kind of just analyzing the field and just kind of just weaving the punches day by day as they come, because that's literally what it is. Every day is a different thing, and we just have to just adjust.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Yeah, what he said, like it's more of similar situation. We had a few emails. People lost their jobs and they couldn't afford their haircuts. So we were just like, as much as we could possibly give back. If someone needs a free haircut, you know, a clean shave, a lot of these people are hurting right now, and we're noticing it. A lot of our clients, former clients, aren't coming back because they're out of a job. Our barbers are feeling it. You know, they rely on clients to make their income. So we're trying hard to do a lot of the marketing and show that we're as safe as possible. Like he's saying, a lot of the things that work for him don't work for us, but we can't go online. We can't sell online haircuts. So we have to trust that we're relaying the message to our clients that they are safe with us, that they can come in, get their haircuts, and relay the same message to the employees. Like, imagine they're there risking their health and safety, but they have to provide for their families. So it's up to us as business owners to like provide all the necessary things to keep everyone safe, and just to like, I don't know. We're figuring it out as we go along as well.
One thing I did do, so we started shipping, like, not because I tried to sign up with GoBelly, and I haven't gotten a response from them, but I had been getting a lot of requests from people to ship my food, and I this week alone I shipped to Connecticut, I shipped to Boston, I shipped to Seattle, Washington, I shipped to Atlanta. So that's definitely been a revenue stream that's been growing. And I've also so we sell fresh squeezed lemonade, and like, I don't know, we sell maybe like 10,000 bottles of lemonade a month. Like it's just crazy amount of lemonade. So what I did is I started going to talk to like local grocery gas stations and grocery stores, and I actually started placing my lemonade in some of these gas stations. And then now, like, you know, I got this guy calling me like every 2 days. He's, you know, we're selling him like a few cases and he's selling out. So now we're selling lemonades in the gas station, in the grocery store, with House of Mac branding, which is great branding for us, but it's also just a different revenue stream because now we're selling them from somewhere else. So just being creative with it, man. You know what I mean? There's no, you know what I mean? Like, I just think like you just got to just figure it out and just kind of keep the cash register ringing one way or another. But I mean, we're just figuring it out.
Right.
Yeah, we also shifted. We have an apparel line that we started selling. We just started really pushing online sales, and it actually took off. So in those 2 months we were closed, we actually were making a few online sales of hats and shirts, and you know, it helped a little.
Well, Derek and Mike, I know I speak for the stream when I say thank you for sharing all your insights and how you're keeping your doors open, but more importantly, supporting your communities and your employees during this time. Nathaniel says, thank you for still providing jobs for your communities. Andre in the stream says, Derek, you're in the best place in your life. You're in the best business. Focus on what you can pivot. Keep up the hope. So Andre got a fan out there in the stream as well. So Mike and Derek, thank you so much for joining us on today's show.
Good luck, Derek.
Thank you so much. You too, bud.
That was Mike Risco and Derek Turton, 2 small business owners in Florida, talking through how they're keeping their doors open amid this pandemic. This is Business Unusual, a live show where we're talking about the changing nature of work. This is all that we have for you today. Before we let you go, we want to share the results of our poll of the day, which discussed how confident are you that offices are clean at this time. We see right now the results. Over 50% of you say that you don't trust that it's clean. I see votes from Carlton, Evan, David, Melissa, Quentin, Renvenier, Glamis, all saying I don't trust it's clean. Victor, Shenna, Brent, Stephanie, Robert, David, Glano, Patty, Eugenia, Sephora, and Phil do trust it's clean somewhat. And then I have a lone vote from Robert saying, I trust that it's properly clean. I want to thank all the members in the stream for joining us in the poll today. If you have ideas for polls that you can have in the future, let us know in the stream right now. We'd love to get your insights on what you're curious about in terms of how the coronavirus is changing the nature of work. Business Unusual comes live to you from the LinkedIn news page every day, noon Eastern. Tomorrow, my colleague Susie Jackson will be back with you with entrepreneur Felicia Hatcher, Shark Startups and Side Hustles. That's tomorrow, 12 Eastern from the LinkedIn news page. I'm Caroline Fairchild. Thank you so much for joining us.